Today I'm going to show you how to make peach cobbler. In the bowl I have 2 cups of all-purpose flour. I have a half a cup of white sugar, a half a cup of brown sugar. I have 2 teaspoons of baking powder and a teaspoon of salt. Okay, you just want to go ahead and whisk everything together. Okay, now I'm going to put the topping to the side. Okay, now I have the oven preheating at 425 degrees. In this bowl here, I have a 1/4 cup of white sugar, a 1/4 cup of brown sugar, a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, an 1/8 of a teaspoon of ground nutmeg, and I have 2 teaspoons of cornstarch. And I usually do 2 heaping teaspoons. I'm just going to mix it up and break up the brown sugar. Okay, the recipe calls for 8 fresh peaches, peeled, pitted, and sliced into thin wedges, but I just like to use the frozen peaches. Sometimes it's hard to get fresh peaches, even though I live in Georgia, and when you do, some of them may be good and some of them not so good. So I've never had any bad peaches when I get the frozen ones. So I'm going to do 2 pounds of frozen peaches. Okay, you just want to toss the peaches in the sugar mixture. Now you can use a teaspoon of fresh lemon juice if you like. I don't really like it in mine, but you can definitely do it. I think I used the wrong bowl for this job. I should have used the bigger bowl over there, but that's fine. We'll get it mixed. Okay, I'm just going to place the peaches in a cast iron skillet. You can use whatever type of pan you like to use. Okay, after you spread the peaches out evenly, you want to bake it for 10 minutes without any topping at all, just like it is. I want to give a quick shout out to Outdoor Cooking with Al. He has a really great channel. He does a lot of, well, like his channel name says, outdoor cooking. He uses cast iron and Dutch ovens, and he cooks over a campfire. So if you could, check him out. I'm going to put his link in the description box. Okay, in the bowl here, I have 6 tablespoons of white sugar and 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. We're going to put that on last. And in this bowl here, I have 1 1/4 cup of butter that's been diced up. And after you dice it, you want to put it back in the fridge because you want it as cold as possible. Okay, you could just use your hands or you can use a pastry blender, and you just want to kind of mash it together until it looks crumbly. And you definitely want to make sure you start off with cold butter. Sometimes I even stick it in the freezer. Okay, once all the butters combine, you want it to look like playground sand. Okay, you want to add about 2/3 cup of boiling water. Now, you may need to add a little more water. Depends on how your measurements are. Like if you do like a heaping cup of sugar and flour, you may need to add a little bit more water. You just have to eyeball it to make sure it's the right consistency. It just needs to be wet enough to combine everything. We're going to scoop it in spoonfuls on top so it doesn't have to be able to be poured out. You don't want it that wet, but you don't want it dry either. So I think 2/3 is just perfect for the amount that I had. That's how it's going to look. Okay, after 10 minutes, you just want to take the topping and just kind of spoon it on the top. You can do little dollops or however you want to do it. You want to cover as much as possible. And I'm going to put all the ingredients in the description box that I used. There's so many different ways you can make peach cobbler. I actually have about 5 different recipes that I use. But here lately, this has been the one I've been using the most. Okay, now You're not going to be able to cover every single peach, but it will spread out when it bakes. I'm just kind of making sure it's not too thick in one area. That way it cooks evenly. Okay, I'm just going to take the cinnamon and sugar mixture and just sprinkle it all over the top. Okay, I'm going to put it back in the oven and bake it for about 30 more minutes. Okay, I went ahead and baked it for 30 minutes, so I'm going to let it cool for just a few minutes. Okay, anytime that I make this recipe, I always double the ingredients for the topping. Now when it comes to the cinnamon and sugar mixture, you can just stick with 3 tablespoons of sugar and 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, but I actually like having the extra cinnamon and sugar, so that's just something you can choose for yourself. Okay, now Lyle at No Hippie Barbecue and Cooking, he cooked a peach cobbler a few days ago, and his looked absolutely delicious. So I'm going to put his link in the description box. Go over there and check his video out if you haven't already. He didn't eat his with ice cream. He liked to eat his without, but we have to have ice cream with ours. If I was to serve this without ice cream, I would get some crazy looks. So I'm going to go ahead and spoon some out. And that sugar topping, it gives it a real nice crust. Okay, I only have 2 little tiny scoops of ice cream. In reality, I would have the whole thing covered in ice cream. Normally, I'm going to take, I've made this so many times, but it's piping hot. I'm still going to take a small bite. Gotta make sure I got some ice cream on there so don't burn my mouth. Alright, hopefully it's cooled off enough. It's so delicious. So delicious. And there you have it. Thanks a lot.